Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Novella and I'm not only a reader but I'm also a writer, and every fortnight on Mondays I like to give you a writing exercise. Mostly it are professional writers who do the exercises, so that's fun for me, but maybe try them anyway. It not only will make you a better writer but also a better reader. You will see the tricks, the techniques that a writer uses to engage a reader. Now, today I want to talk about dialogue. Dialogue is very important in a book, of course, in screenplays, plays, also for journalists. So whether you are a playwright, a screenwriter, a novelist, a copywriter like me, I really need a lot of dialogue. I use it all the time when I write radio commercials and TV commercials. But also journalists need they have to be able to write good dialogue. Now, dialogue doesn't really break a story, but it can absolutely make a good story. And you know that if you've done right, if they start to, that people will quote you. And that is such a good feeling. I have that with a couple of my commercials that during the time they were aired, that people started using them. And that's such a good feeling. And you know you've done your job right. If you think of really good screenwriters like Quentin Tarantino, think of The Inglourious Basterds. The first 20 minutes is a dialogue between a peasant, a French peasant, and the German officer who is hunting for Jews, and the whole dialogue is about milk. And how milk can go sour, and you don't want to spoil milk, and you know that they're actually talking about the Jews that are hidden under the floor. Or you have like A Few Good Men, where what was it? Jack Nicholson says, "You can't handle the truth." That is such a powerful movie and a moment in that book, in that movie. So it can absolutely make your creation unforgettable. And that's why I want to talk about dialogue. Writing dialogue is not as easy as you might think. Hitchcock always used to say, it's a normal conversation, but with the boring parts cut out of it. And that's true for a big part, but it's a lot more than that. You have to make sure that everybody who talks has his own particular voice. And I like to use, imagine you have a chicken fillet, an uncooked chicken fillet in front of you. You can do a lot of things with it. You won't eat it raw. That's unhealthy. So you have your raw persona and you can flavor it. You can make it, you make an Indian dish out of it, a classic French dish out of it, or Chinese or Mexican. But also you can grill it and you can poach it and you can dry it. There are a lot of things you can do with it, and that's actually flavoring your personalities in your book, story, or whatever you want to call it. So imagine you have two people talking about a loaf of bread. The baker will use other words than the stockbroker who is in the shop. And if another person chips in who is maybe an artist, that person would also use his own language. And then you can also flavor the dialogue with an accent, with a dialect, or maybe one of the people is traumatized and he has a stammer, or somebody who is as high as a kite will talk differently than somebody who is high on coke. That person will speak a whole lot faster than somebody who just smoked 17 joints in a row, you know? You all have to take that into account. So background, upbringing, social class, region, trauma, intoxication. There's a whole lot. Scared. I can imagine that somebody who's scared has difficulty to speak what they want to say, what they want to say, because they are so, you know. Those are all tools that you can use to make dialogue more interesting. The other problem is that often dialogue is on the nose. So it's we call it téléphoné. So it's like you already know what the other is going to say, and that's really bad dialogue. If you already know what's happened, well, oh, the car broke down. Oh, don't you have a spare? Or this or that. It's not interesting. So how do you learn to write dialogue? Well, mostly by listening to other people talk and how they talk, especially how they talk. But you will quickly notice that people rarely end their sentences. So they start with one sentence and in the middle they break it off because they have another thought, and then they continue with that thought. So you have to learn to listen and read dialogue. That's also a thing that I can advise you. You can find so many great scripts for free on internet and you can read them. Those are masterclasses in writing dialogue, like A Few Good Men. If you can read that, that's a masterclass in dialogue. Even the scripts of all the scripts of Quentin Tarantino, those are brilliant. I also think of No Country for Old Men, where you have, he enters a store or sort of a shop, and he walks up to the counter, and there's a man behind the counter, and puts a coin on the counter, he pushes it towards the man, and he says, well, this coin is from 1958, and it took a whole journey to get here. And now this is the moment. This is your moment to win or lose, or something like that. And he has to say heads or tails, and the other one says, what do I have to, what can I win? And he says, everything. Those are powerful, powerful, powerful moments that really shows how a person thinks and how a person works, and their logic is different than the other. The logic of the killer is different than the logic of the man in the store. It all has to come together in 6, 7 lines. And they have to be brilliant. They have to be perfect. Now, the exercise. Oh yeah, forgot that. Then you say, a journalist doesn't need dialogue skills. Well, yes, he does. Or she does. Imagine you're a journalist and you are asked to do a big spread interview with a famous author. And you go there, you write everything down meticulously. You have listened to the recording 10 times at least. And you've written down word for word what they say. Then you give it to the author. Well, the author will always be held back to accept the story. Why? Well, and this is a tip that comes from a famous Dutch author. He told me that in a conference. And he says, never do that. Keep the idea. Keep everything that he wanted to say, but say it in your own words. Say it in your own words. Of course, when there's a line that's absolutely brilliant, you keep that. But mostly, even authors can't come up with brilliant lines in real time, so they have to think about it. And if you rewrite it, what they said, but in your own language, it works a whole lot better and it will be approved a whole lot easier. Now, your exercise. Imagine you're in a kitchen. There's a couple there. They have been together for a long time and you have to feel it. But one of the two wants out of the marriage. So you give them dialogue, a conversation, but they can't say, I want to get out of the marriage. You can't even talk about marriage or a relationship or whatever. You have to use a metaphor. It can be the stale Rice Krispies. It can be the plumbing. It can be something that happened at work. Use it as a metaphor, but everybody has to understand that it's really about the marriage. Very difficult exercise. I know it is a very difficult exercise. An exciting exercise, but a difficult one. Kitchen, two people, been together for a very long time. They are married, and one of the two wants to get out. You have to give them their own particular voice, their own accent, maybe. But don't do a Chinese and then a New York, that's silly. And if you write people that are foreign, that's also a good tip. Never make all the sentences wrong, you know? You know what I mean? My English isn't perfect, but not every sentence I say is wrong. So you can add flavor, foreign flavor, but not all sentences, not all the words are wrong, you know? You know what I mean? It's like, be careful, hold back. Difficult, food for thought. You'll need a fortnight to work on this one. Okay? Hope you like the exercise and talk to you later. Bye-bye.